Right. Everybody ready down there? We are? All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the Waterloo Community Schools Board of Directors to order and ask that you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, and now Sue Flynn will read our mission statement.
The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community.
Thank you, Sue. The first item on our agenda this evening then is item A, and this is a donation from Mid-American Energy. And the recommended motion for that this evening is that the Board of Education accepts and acknowledges with gratitude the donation of $100,000 from Mid-American Energy in support of the Waterloo Career Center's electrical program.
So moved.
Thank you, Sue. And a second? Thank you. And now that we have that motion on the table, I will bring up Tara Thomas. I also see that Jeff Frost is here this evening, and we can happily accept.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say is...
You got to go to the mic.
First thing I'm going to say is we're going to have a larger check made, a big check for a big check that we're receiving. But one of the classes at the Career Center actually heard us talking about Todd Kern's class, making a big check for us. And they said, and Todd was saying, well, you may be better off going out to Staples and taking care of it. And they're like, oh no, Mr. Kern, we want to take care of this. And so they've created a big check for us. Not as big as maybe some of the big checks, but nonetheless probably means as much because it does come from our Career Center students here. But I want to introduce Jeremy Sorensen and Chuck Meyer from Mid-American Energy. About 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm not quite sure when, I received a call from from actually and I did not get back to him till the next day. And actually, he's like, I wasn't going to leave it in email because, I want to tell you this news in person. He says, are you ready? I got some news for you. And we started talking, and finally he says, well, we were talking about grants and potential opportunities to partner and things like that. And he says, we received from corporate a check for your electrical program. And I was like, oh, that's great, thinking, not sure what to think. And he says, are you ready for this? And I'm like, sure, go for it, $5,000, $10,000. And he's like, a lot of zeros, $100,000 donation from Mid-American Energy. I honestly don't know if I spoke for the next 5 or 10 minutes. I was actually like, okay. I don't know how you reply to that, but they're going to be a great partner. And obviously, what a tremendous honor for us to be partnering with them. And we're very thankful for this $100,000 donation. I'm going to have Jeremy officially sign this big check. I do have the big check actually over here. He just handed it to me, and I do not want to hang on to that very long, Michael. So I may actually hand it off before tonight's meeting's over, so it's not in my regards there. But I'm going to have Jeremy sign the $100,000 check and gift from Mid-American Energy.
Gentlemen, would you come up here once you sign that, and let's take a picture in front of the dais with all of us. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, yes. So,
That will be a big present.
one of our board members just asked if there was a donation wall, and I think maybe you guys just paid for the lighting, the wall, and, and the wing that it gets held in, so, yeah.
We're all gonna come down and take a picture with you for.
That's how I ever get from.
Oh, I don't care, I don't really wanna be in the front either.
Well, yeah, but black people want to do that.
When I read it in the board exhibit, I thought at first, am I reading this wrong?
Jesse, you can get right in the middle too. Can you see Jesse?
There we go. Great. Can we say something cool like Shazam or money, Transformers? Thank you so much. What a generous gift. Awesome. I don't think we ever
Michael, I'm not kidding. I'm going to hand you that check.
did. We have to vote. What?
Do they want to say anything? Jeremy.
Gentlemen, if you have anything you'd like to say to our viewing audience or to the board at the microphone, please know that you are more than welcome.
Jeremy, you're never silent.
We have an official quote, an official statement.
Great,
We're happy to partner on this, and thank you.
great. We're very, very thankful. So with that, I would entertain a motion now that we have this on the table. So I will go to the vote. All those in favor of approving the generous donation from Mid-American Energy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Oh, sorry, Lyle. Those opposed, same sign. And chair votes aye, and Lyle votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woohoo! Lyle, do you have a question?
I have a comment, yeah. I guess I'd like to invite the representatives there or anyone else from Mid-America to have any special insight into the elements of electrical production or energy production and transmission in general that they see as futuristic. That would also be very helpful to the Career Center. So I guess I would invite their comments would be really appreciated.
And I think we would also invite you to bring anyone to do the tour. We have a ribbon cutting ceremony coming up in October. We hope you will join us. We're just, we're so grateful for everyone's support, both financially and the other. And we're just, it's wonderful to see. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, there you go, Rhonda. Jeez, all over it.
So,
Is the little button push it should
green
be
light
green.
on?
Help him, Jeff.
it is green.
Oh,
Okay,
wonderful.
good.
Okay, good. Okay.
I can't believe you can't hear me.
Oh, we
My
can
voice
now.
carries
We
pretty
can
well.
now.
Now I
My voice
can.
always carries very well. So, thank you very much. We'll be sure to get this on our calendar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody, Jeff has our email. Tara has our email as well. Jane, I've emailed you a couple times. You may have my email contact information. Worst comes to worst, Marty has it.
We will find you.
Marty knows how to get a hold of me at any time.
There you
Reach
go.
out to me anytime. We'll be happy to come down and talk with the kids. And, we're looking for a partnership here.
Wonderful.
Any
Great.
advisory boards or anything like that needs to happen, we'd be willing to set on those and help out. So
Great. All right.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you on the 10th. Yeah. That's huge.
That is huge. Jeff, you better answer your phone more often. I know. I like that. I like that. All right, well then moving on, the next item on our agenda is Exhibit B, and this is a board celebration this evening, and I'm super excited to have Jim Miller here. He's the director of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame at the Dan Gable Museum. I've also been lucky enough to work with Jim sometimes here on the athletic committee and other things, and I'm just thrilled to be able to honor you this evening, so I would like to call Tara Thomas and Dan Huff forward, and we will begin our celebration. I guess Dan's going to go first. I can read the board exhibit if you want me to, but I figured you guys.
That would probably be great too.
Is that
I don't know if
all
we're
right?
going to be able to top the shocking news we just heard. That's my attempt at a pun, I guess.
Can I read it? Sure.
Anyway, I am
Do you want us
excited.
to read it?
Do you want us
Dan?
to read it?
Yeah,
What
go
is-
ahead and read it.
Okay,
That would be
okay.
awesome.
I'll read it real quickly. East High alumni Jim Miller was named as the new director of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum effective July 1, 2019. After graduating from East High, Jim went on to wrestle at the University of Northern Iowa, where he won 2 Division II national titles in 1974 and 1975. Upon graduating from UNI, he coached high school wrestling for a number of years and then came back to UNI as top assistant coach from 1983 to 1991. From 1991 to 2013, he served as the head coach at Wartburg, where he coached 37 individual national champions, 147 All-Americans, and 72 NWCA academic All-Americans. Jim has received numerous team and individual awards throughout his distinguished career. Coach Miller serves as the consultant, lead presenter, and coaching mentor for the newly formed Waterloo Coaches Academy. His expertise, passion, and commitment to Waterloo Schools athletics have been instrumental in the launching of the Waterloo Coaches Academy. He has also served as the athletics committee on the athletic committee and has been involved in the Coaches Classic and Battle of Waterloo. Yay, Jim!
A little bit that I would expound on that is we here in Waterloo kind of take a lot of these things for granted. There are 2 National Wrestling Hall of Fames in the country. One of them's in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and the other one is right here, affiliated with the Dan Gable Museum. One of the accolades Coach Miller has is he won 10 national titles at Wartburg. They had never won a national title in any sport at Wartburg, and then a couple of years after he was there, they went on and won 10 titles. There's only 4 coaches in the whole history of NCAA sports, Division I, II, or III, that have won 10 or more titles. 2 of them happen to be right here from Waterloo, one from Waterloo West, Dan Gable, and one from Waterloo East, Jim Miller. When they were looking for a new director, there was a lot of names being bandied about, and then all of a sudden someone mentioned, you know, who's going to be perfect for the job? Jim Miller. And the whole wrestling community in Waterloo and across the state of Iowa and the nation, for that matter, said, that's the perfect hire. He's the perfect person for the job for the Dan Gable Museum. We're excited that he's right here. He's a great resource to us here in Waterloo. He's already working with our coaches, doing some phenomenal things, giving us motivation as he's done with his own teams. Once again, we're excited. Jim Miller is right where he's at, right here in Waterloo at the Dan Gable Museum. So thank you, Coach Miller.
You can't be shy. You have to stand up here so we, come on.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
Waterloo.
Love it.
And I was the youngest of 6 kids. All of us went through the Waterloo Public Schools. And I can't tell you how many positive mentors, teachers and coaches that I had in my career that positively impacted me. And that's one reason I'm excited to be a part of the Waterloo Coaches Academy. So we're talking about coaches, all of our middle school coaches in all sports, all of our high school coaches in all sports, because I know if we can positively impact our coaches, we got a great chance to also positively impact their student athletes that are in their program. So Man, that's a big project, but I am so excited to do it. And we're already on the move. If you haven't noticed, can you feel it coming?
Yep.
We're starting to climb that ladder, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But, at the museum, we're about our youth, boys and girls in wrestling. We're talking about our middle school, high school, international, collegiate. And even international, we have one of our own, Kyvan Gadsden, right from Waterloo, Iowa. That's one of the contenders to be on our Olympic teams. And also, obviously, I'm representing one of the biggest faces in the state of Iowa and even beyond, and that's that guy named Dan Gable and his legacy. So thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be back. Come see us at the museum. It's a beautiful place if you haven't been in there lately, the new renovation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Coach. Astor and I were kind of scared. We went to the first Coaches Academy, and I thought Coach Miller was going to literally jump into the audience. He was so excited that day. It was awesome. He
What
brings it.
hours are the museum open? 9 to 5. Monday through Friday, and no weekends, or? By appointment. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is the International Baccalaureate and Advanced Programming Update, and I will invite Sharice Ortman up top here. Also wanted to say to our board, Sharice sent out some information today. She sent a video, and she sent some Google Docs. I hope everybody was able to get those, and if not, I think they're probably in you can get them here on your new fancy screen. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sharice Ortman, our coordinator for advanced programs.
Keep the energy going for academics. Woo! He's fun. I love his energy. So I did send it out electronically, but I gave out folders, and as promised, IB Diploma Program pens, Waterloo Schools, to roll out this year, where we will receive IB World status, hoping to hear from the IB organization in the next month. And I've been talking with Tara and Katrina to really roll it out again. This is a big deal. And what I did for you tonight, because I tend to give people more food than they're hungry for, I just condensed our bulleted points on the front page, and then you can look at the documents behind that if you want to know some more specific data. So starting off with the IB Diploma Program, as I mentioned before, this year is our IB World status. It takes 5 years for a district to receive that honor. And once you've become an IB World school, that's where the signage comes in. We can use their trademark. So there's a lot of advantages to really promoting ourselves as the only IB World diploma program in the state of Iowa in the next few weeks. So wait for that big announcement. Also, if you look at IB last year, I gave you a copy of last year. I think it's on the 3rd page. So right here you have a rundown of the amount of scholarships, what our scores were, how many of our own staff were above the world averages within their subjects. And actually, I missed a very important page that I wanted to start off with, which is the district equity of our college courses. This one's current. I was waiting until everybody was registered for 2019-2020. So if you look at those different areas of college level courses, if you remember from when we talked before, concurrent, there's concurrent out at the Career Center. Those are CTE concurrent. And there's concurrent at East and West, and those are liberal arts concurrent. So the liberal arts concurrent courses at East and West transfer to the state schools, Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI, as the liberal arts credit for that subject. And they're all together in the concurrent number. So that's how when you pull a report on Tableau, I can't break down the CTE concurrent and the liberal arts concurrent, but I could hand go through that if you wanted me to do that for you. This is one thing I wanted to show you. When we talk about equity in our district, if you look at that first column, these are the number of 11th and 12th graders in Waterloo schools, broken down by the subgroups from the state of Iowa, and this is also what's pulled on our Tableau report. So if you look at the percentage of each subgroup, and then the total number of juniors and seniors at about 1388. That should be consistent with what you see in those subgroups in those advanced courses. So if you look at concurrent and you go across to subgroups, you can see where that equity falls. Again, concurrent is all of our community college courses that we contract with. Hawkeye has most of the courses we contract, DMAC, and Kirkwood. AP, or advanced placement, you can see out of a total number of 231 where those subgroup percentages fall, as well as in the IB program. You can see where those subgroup percentages fall. The concurrent numbers at 198, that's just for fall registration. Concurrent courses are usually quarter or semesters, so we don't have the spring numbers on that yet. Any questions on the equity data? Personally, I'm very proud. Of course, we have some work to do, and our underrepresentation, I would say African American population at 14, 15, and 12% compared to 11th and 12th graders at 26%. We definitely need to do some work in supporting. But the rest of them look pretty lined up with our district percentages.
Sharice, so for
Yes.
the IB program for this year, then you have 95 total students in IB.
We have 95 students, we have 50 of those taking singletons. We pushed singletons quite a bit this year, and we're up 80%. That's in the report, but IB, the tuition fee of $172 per student was dropped. IB World Organization was trying to make it more open access, and so they dropped the registration fee, so we no longer have to pay for any student to be registered. We had 10 singletons last year. We're up 50, meaning they're taking one or more IB classes, and most of them are taking 3 or more. Of the IB-DP kids, there's 45. That means they're doing the full diploma. They're taking all IB classes as well as the core, which is they write an extended essay, they engage in CAS, and theory of knowledge.
And how does that break down east, west, 11th, 12th?
Oh, I would say we have more at west than we do at east. I didn't break it down into buildings, but we have about 3/4 of those would be west, and 1/4 would be east for the full DP, as well as singletons. It's about 3/4 and 1/4. I can give you the exact numbers, Sue. I can send those to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
But I would say it's about 3/4 to 1/4. Mm-hmm. So also with the IB, if you look at last year, we recovered almost $81,000 in tuition. 75 of the 149 tests had a 4 or higher. So in the IB world, we rank it on a 7-point scale. In the AP world, we measure it on a 5-point scale. And so what that's telling the university is you've definitely met that criteria for that course to transfer. You don't need to sit for it in college. So we had 50.3% of the kids who sat for IB tests ended up with a 4 or higher. So what I did is I took it out of the tuition, average tuition cost at the University of Iowa, since most of our IB diploma students went to a state school this year. Also, I'm very proud to say one of the pushes we talked last time about what's the difference in the IB diploma program over other college pathways. There's something for everyone, but what we found is the stamina of students who do the IB diploma route have higher writing. They write research in every subject. Speaking, so they're doing discourse and Socratic approach all the time, and critical thinking is higher, so their stamina for a 4-year. Right now, 33.3% of students who start a 4-year public finish in 4 years. Of IB diploma students, the stat's 79%, and we're right on track with that. We'll know for sure with the hard evidence after this December graduation at 3.5 years, and then May graduation in 4 years. But 80% right now of the first cohort is right in line with the IB stats. So we talk about that stamina to start and then to finish within that 4 years. IB, I already told you about dropping the registration. Michael, did you hear that? You perked up just a little bit right there. We have 5 of our subjects total that are above the world average, which I think is really commendable. And then of the biliteracy seal, 80% of the students who took the IB World Language passed and received a biliteracy seal this year per state of Iowa. Any other questions on IB? And then you can see that full report. I think it was on page 3 if you're looking at your packet. Goes into a little further detail.
So just for our viewers and listeners, what is the advantage to take singletons for IB?
Well, IB is still, if you think of advanced placement courses, They have updated in the last 5 years where they do have more critical thinking and big global outcomes. It's very much more like the IB diploma program that way. Even if you look at the curriculum review from now to when I first started this job, which it will be going on 7 years. What? What a gift. It's flying. One of the things that I even noticed is they looked a little different, more content knowledge than it was big critical thinking. Actually, in AP, they've become much more the skills and the big critical thinking. So even though that's similar to IB, one of the things in the diploma program is when you sit in on the TOK class, and Sue, I want you to come with me, and any of the board members come and sit in. It is this ongoing questioning that just makes all these connections. How's math like science? How's science like art? A lot of cause and effect and a lot of critical thinking. So that sort of spoke of the IB diploma program, and then writing your own essay over a year and a half, about a 4,000-word essay, not only engaging in service learning, but engaging in creativity, activity, and service, and then reflecting on those as sort of affective traits. How does that make me more of an inquirer? How does it make me more open-minded? How does it make me more caring? Those affective, reflective pieces elevate it that much more. So if a student wants to take an IB over an AP, you're going to get more of the critical thinking and more of the research writing in the subjects, but they're pretty comparable
So if you take
as far
an
as content.
IB Singleton, can you take an AP test?
We've had students co-seat in the past. My nephew, in fact, and he scored higher on the AP history because he sat in IB history. So I think the reflective part, being able to defend an argument, the writing, the stamina for writing is really high. So we have had that happen before. We did that before when the numbers, like within a classroom setting, were pretty low. So we tried to blend them. We're starting to see momentum. As you can see, in our singletons are up this year. IB and AP numbers are both. AP numbers are up. I think I put in the report. Oh, let me look. I want to say the exact amount. They're up 231 from 198 last year. So we're getting enough students that we can run them separate instead of combining them. But if a student wanted to take the AP exam and it didn't overlap with their IB exam, they could. Remember, we as a board pay for the exams. There's only a $25 difference between an IB exam and an AP, and an IB class is 2 years to an AP 1 year. So that's also why you would go deeper into the critical thinking and content.
So just for clarification, the IB would not give you college credit, but the AP would? Or does
No,
IB
they both do.
They both do?
They both
Okay.
do. So what I'm doing with my building coordinator is going around, and in the beginning, Iowa didn't really know the IB diploma program. There was only the one campus in Des Moines. So now, not only do they know, they're starting to really experience those students going to Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI. Our first diploma graduate is now the president of the student body at the University of Iowa. So these like very strong, confident kids are contributing to the student body life and making their stats look good at 4 years or less graduation rate, and very much involved in the student body. So now they're starting to say, what more can we give you? So in the beginning, they weren't looking at as many. UNI, with exception to the French, which we need to just update them, that we have IB French, they acknowledge all of the courses, the standard level and the higher level. Iowa still looks at the HLs. So that's where that over 80,000 came from. And then as far as scholarships, we yielded over 217. Those were only the kids who reported who received 20,000 or more. We had a lot of kids who had $5,000, $1,500, $10,000, but these were the big reporting ones, so that number's higher than that. And that too, I would say, Sue, if you're comparing, the students can really sell themselves. Like, they're such critical thinkers that when they fill out an application, they're saying, you want me because, not a laundry list of these are the service projects I did, but how it changed me as a person, how I feel like I'm more open-minded, how I feel like I'm much more of an inquirer. That's what they want to see. I'll tell you a quick story, and then I know we need to move on, but I was at IB World this summer, and it was the admissions director of the University of British Columbia, Stanford, and I think it was Brown, and they said if I saw a student took the full diploma and got a 2.5, I'd look at their application over a kid who has a 4 and didn't take anything advanced. So I think we have to shift the image of what does, you know, a 4 mean and what does it mean to really be prepared for the stamina of higher education. Because 33.3, that shouldn't be a statistic of kids who finish in 4 years or less. And we're proving it.
So I have a quick question, Sharice,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Oh, and
So-
I have Mel here, who's one of my IB diploma students. If you wanted to hear from a student, I thought it'd be a nice perspective instead of this lady. So let me know if you'd like to say hi to him.
Okay.
Rhonda?
So yeah, I was just looking at the underrepresentation in the African American and Hispanic populations, and I was wondering, because from what I understand, so for example, we have 26% African American students enrolled in our school district in terms of 11th and 12th graders.
Correct.
And so of those 26%, everyone is eligible to pursue the IB. Is that correct?
Everybody's eligible to pursue any college options.
Okay.
It's 100% open access, and I've had parent meetings and Send Ed Connect calls out reminding everyone, this is not elitist, this is open access. And actually, when you go to IB World, they say it's such a blue-collar opportunity because kids are building stamina of pathways, and it's for everybody.
Right,
now,
right.
in 8th grade, because they subject skip, so English 9, you're skipping 8th grade, and in algebra, you're skipping 6th grade math, we have a different criteria. But when you get to high school, I tell kids, even if you're going to go take a concurrent class out at the Career Center, why wouldn't you want to have more of the critical thinking and the speaking and ACT alignment no matter what you end up pursuing?
Right. So that leads me to my next question
Sure.
about, you know, I would imagine a lot of our, so each school district is unique, but I would imagine that a lot of these students who opt out of pursuing these advanced programs are first generation.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what are we as a district doing to connect with, first of all, to find out if there are any adverse childhood experiences, you know, if we track those from 3rd grade and how that impacts their college going experiences.
Right.
You know, because we know a lot of college going experiences depends on the family background. So I don't know if as a district we're tailoring or targeting as to why we are significantly underrepresented in those populations.
So one of the things, getting out to the community is a big one. Circling back now with the IB World status, we'll be at a lot of the churches, a lot of the Baptist churches, a lot of the different organizations to really promote for all. That's one of the things that's on the docket for this fall. The other thing is, and you can see it down here in the ELP talent development update, I've been pushing the Socratic approach because you kind of take the IB diploma and then you work backward. Well, we did that for pre-IB, but we're an open access school, so why wouldn't we want to engage students in more discourse with like strong essential questions? Like, what is love? What is racism? Right? What is hate? Why wouldn't we want to engage in those discussions earlier for all kids? So I have my ELP teachers, that's a part of their differentiation pathway is to push more Socratic for all kids, and they go in and they model that as a way to accelerate the learning while narrowing the achievement gaps, because that's the kind of critical thinking and speaking that is present in a lot of the college courses, including AP and IB and concurrent.
Well, I think Socratic is important. We have to do that. However, a lot of research shows that culturally underrepresented racial minorities tend to really rely heavily on their family members and community members to pursue certain things. So the Socratic method is good if we're using it for all students. But if we want to target and tailor our marketing efforts, we need to do something a little bit different.
Right. When we do sending out Ed Connect calls, what goes out to all families is if any family is interested in college pathways, attend. And it tends to be the follow-up conversations that we have with moms but also grandmas to support their child. I will say, actually, last year's cohort from East High, all but one was first generation. 9 didn't speak any English in the home. So sometimes when people say, you know, who's it for, it really is for everybody. And part of that is getting back out into the community and going to the community and having more. When Jane does her overviews, we have IB tables set up. We'll have students and Ellen Shea at those events to really sit down and talk to parents, because a lot of the time is they just don't know what opportunities are available. Sending out a lot of letters from the district office to all 9th and 10th graders, not just to students that might be pursuing the IB diploma program. That's a small percentage of the total. And at this point, with 86 different options, I've said this before, you almost have to deliberately avoid a college class. And meeting with counselors, middle school and elementary, to start talking about pathway opportunities for all students. We're working on it, Rhonda. Help me out.
No, and I've always said I never ask a question I don't really know the answer to, but I
Yeah.
wanted our listening audience to understand why we are underrepresented in that area.
Yes.
So it takes
All of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone want to talk to Mel or get his perspective while he's here?
Sure.
All right, Mel.
Hello.
Hello. Tell us a little about yourself, grade, how you got into IB, what your
So-
future is.
My name is Amil Bayramovich. I'm a first-generation American, and my parents came from the war from Yugoslavia. They are, I guess, technically Bosnian, and that was the biggest reason that got me into IB. So my parents, they finished high school. My mom actually continued, and she's continuing right now to get her master's for teaching. She's currently a ELL teacher, but my dad never had the chance to move on to college. He's a truck driver, and I'm the biggest reason I'm in IB is so I can I can help my basically my parents with their life, and my dad's not going to be able to continue his job much longer, so I feel like that would be the best way to, I guess, repay them. And but another reason why I joined IB rather than taking the AP course is what Ms. Ortman was saying before about like strengthening our like discourse and I guess furthering our like ways we think about certain subjects or how we think and why we think that way, and if we can take in multiple perspectives or multiple ideals and try to stay open-minded while staying knowledgeable about the topics. Do you have any other questions? Sorry.
How many hours a day do you spend on your studies? Would you guess?
So outside of school?
Uh-huh.
I guess it does depend on the day.
Sure.
Sometimes I like to slack off a little bit. Don't get me wrong, like I like to have free time, but some days it can be, it's usually I come home, I take like a quick snack, and then I get to work. It can be from 1 to 2 hours. Sometimes it's more. There's been times when I've pulled all-nighters, but I feel like that's more on me. I guess it all depends. There's also the teachers. I like how the teachers all work together to keep our schedule not so busy. I mean, sometimes I have 2 papers due the next day, or this weekend I know I have to finish this presentation, this paper, this assignment for this class, Spanish, history, I have an analysis. But I like that we have even our own IB calendar, so we can check on what's being due in the next few weeks, what we can do now, and we can like pace ourselves. And I guess it all really depends on who you are as a person and what you're willing to do.
Sure.
So the biggest thing IB, I guess, has taught me is, I guess, giving me the ability to finish what needs to be done when I'm, I guess I shouldn't really say this, but like when I'm pressured. When I'm pressured, I feel like I'm a little bit more ready, and I'm a little bit more focused on what I need to do. And if I really need to finish this, let's say 5-page paper, I haven't started it to do the next day, I feel like I'm a lot more capable of doing it, especially with IB's writing. And I cannot stress it more enough that IB, I don't think I would do as well as I am doing now without IB's writing and what it has taught me. So with IB writing, I can connect history, like how Mr. Orton was saying before, within TOK, Theory of Knowledge class. I can connect history with ethics. I can connect mathematics with natural sciences, and it's this ongoing connection to every possible area of knowledge or a way of knowing.
So what's your future plans?
Yeah.
What's your future plans? What grade are you in? I didn't hear that.
I am a senior.
You're a senior. So what's your future plans after graduation?
What I'm planning to do after graduation?
Correct.
I'm planning to go to UNI for pre-med most likely, or I might consider going to Iowa State for computer science. I'm not decided yet.
Okay.
Definitely going to college though.
Nice. Good.
So, Ms. Ortman, I think there's our ambassador right there. Do you talk to your friends about getting into IB? Or do they
So,
listen to you?
There's how it works with seniors and juniors. There's mentors and mentees. So as a junior last year, I had a couple friends that I had classes with, and I told them like you should join IB, especially friends that I know that, well, some of them are like, so I'm a Bosnian American. There's like a student named Ben Muslic. He's also a first generation American, and I talked to him about getting into IB, how it'll help him, how it's a greater thing to do rather than AP, and how it kind of connects to with the reason I joined IB, same as him, and other students as well, that it's just a better program than doing singleton AP classes, and how they don't, well, they're not bad, of course, but they don't connect the same way that IB classes do. So just like how I said before about my previous statement about the connection, they all connect no matter what. And even if it sounds ridiculous that mathematics can connect to English, and mathematics can connect to Spanish, it all does. And it's truly like amazing to see how each connection takes place.
You mentioned the mentor-mentee program for 12th and 11th grade.
Yes.
Is that a possibility that it can go from 11th to 10th of sophomores, or if you have the pre-IB program for freshmen and sophomores?
I guess that's a question for Ms. Ortman, but I would like to, I guess I would like to see that happen, since there's a lot of kids, there's like a stigma against IB, and a lot of students see it as like, oh, it's this painful thing. Oh, you're going to stay up for hours and hours every night, no free time, no time for anything. You're not going to have time for your friends, time for yourself. It's just going to be, eat, sleep, school, repeat. It's not like that at all. So I guess I would like, as a senior, to talk to freshmen and sophomores that would be interested in the IB program, and not necessarily like force them in a way, but just kind of let them know what's happening in IB and why it's a little bit more beneficial than taking the AP route or taking general classes. And even if they feel like they could be challenged a little bit, to maybe take that extra step, take in those extra few papers, try to give it your all, and see how well you can do.
I guess I should have been a little bit more specific. I was asking, would it be beneficial? But good answer.
What do you mean?
Or
by
how beneficial? You answered it already.
Yeah, you do.
You answered it already.
All right.
And are you
Thank
in any activities, athletics?
I'm not in any athletic activities, although I'm in NHS, so National Honor Society. I'm in Link Crew. I'm thinking actually about taking swimming this year. I'm not sure, since I'll probably have a job. What else am I in?
No, that's activities. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's busy.
I feel like
but-
I'm in more.
And I
but
was going to ask you if you work. So, I mean, so that's realistic for kids that might be in activities that might work. They can still do it.
Oh yeah. So also with like first generations, I feel like a better position than other students, with my mother going to pursue her master's. But there's other students that their parents don't speak English at all. Actually, one of my friends, his parents, they completed second grade and then they ended their schooling. And then they came to the U.S. as immigrants, and it's very hard for him to speak with his parents, even since they don't know their language fully, since they only got a certain amount of education. So they're basically dependent on working while aiding their family. And so that's the thing with time management with IB. IB teaches you how to manage your time for sure. It just also how you plan to manage it. So so back to that, one of my friends, Ben, he works at Hy-Vee. He studies after school. He has time for his friends. He plays with me. We play video games every night. and he's still able to do all the things he wants to do, and that's like, I guess, the perk of IB. It really teaches you a lot about time management and what is the perfect fit for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Amel doesn't know it, but he's going to be one of our speakers going into the 9th grade rooms next month.
Yikes.
We usually have the seniors because they've experienced IB for a full year. So good questions. I'm going to go through just real quick a couple notes on AP and concurrent, and then I know we have a full night. So with AP, we did add AP Music Theory, and AP Computer Science was added at the Career Center this year. And if you can see there, they also received almost $80,000 in tuition for transfers of 3s, 4s, or 5s, about 30% of them. And then one of the concurrent goals that I don't know if you know, but you should be aware of as a board, is our goal last year was to cut about $100,000 that we pay out the cost of students taking Hawkeye classes outside of the Waterloo schools. And so we have a bunch of our staff who are trained at the Career Center East and West and Elk Run to offer those courses. So that goal was reached. We were able to keep and recover $128,000 last year by having our staff be trained in teaching instead of outsourcing to a different campus, but it also made it open access. So students don't have to leave their home school if they don't want to, and that was a big push. East High, a goal was to make sure we had the same number of liberal arts courses, and actually East High has one more of the concurrent classes offered than West does, and we're very proud of that. We're seeing more kids now really taking some of those concurrent liberal arts. And then in ELP, as I said before, we've pushed Socratic district-wide to just increase critical thinking, speaking, and writing for all kids, and we're doing a pilot at Expo. They're doing a book study on Think Like Socrates. So there's 3 of us training the staff this summer, or this school year, and we started this summer with the work and did training a couple weeks ago, and we'll be going into the rooms to model with all students. And then another cool thing is UNI partnered with us this year for our TUI population. It's Spectrum Theater. And so we have Greta Bergheimer from the University of Northern Iowa, who's coming and adding the A to STEM. So we have STEAM for a lot of our Twice Exceptional students who during their TUI time. And we have TUI time in every building with 61 students identified as Twice Exceptional. We're very proud of that. Okay, any questions? You're gonna have a late night dinner.
Anybody?
Thank you, Amel. Yep.
Yes, thank you, Amal. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up here and talking in front of, without really knowing that you were going to have to do that. It was awesome. So, and thank you, Sharice. I'm guessing that there are some people who are going to have some more questions for you. So I would just urge, if the board does, just email Sharice directly.
Email, and I'd also like you to come out and visit the buildings too. So not only IB, but AP and concurrent classes. So I'd love to take you all out there.
Great.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is information from individuals and delegations. And so I would ask if there's anyone here this evening who wishes to address the board. My crowd keeps thinning, so. All right, well, seeing no one, then we will move on to our consent agenda, which this evening consists of 5 items. The minutes of the September 9th, 2019 regular board meeting, which is item D. The personnel appointments and adjustments, which are item E. Bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings, which is item F. The JROTC enrollments by public shared or non-public shared students, which is item G. And board members' travel, which is item H. So I would entertain a motion to place those items from the consent agenda on the table.
So moved.
Thank you, Sue.
Second.
And a second, India. And are there any items that board members wish to have removed from the consent agenda this evening?
Item E.
E, echo. Okey-doke.
Item G.
And item G. Anything else? All right, then all those in favor of approving items D, F, and H, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. That takes us to Exhibit E, which is the Board of Education approve the personnel appointments, I'm sorry, the personnel items as listed.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, and discussion.
Yeah, I was just wondering about an update on some of our hard-to-fill positions, how that was looking, class size as far as teachers, and then I did notice there was quite a few para replacements, and are those just retirement? I know or not retirement, quitting, or is it because of student needs? Some say new needs, some say just a name. So just kind of an overview.
All right, so I'll start with your first question, and then maybe I'll ask you for the last couple questions you asked me. So as far as, I see what you mean for the additional student. Gotcha.
Right.
Anyways, so as far as, are we still trying to find our hard to fill positions, or we're still working on it? I think I had talked to you all about last time in regards to our middle school and our high school or secondary. We have some positions that are open that we really want to fill. We're trying to think of some out of the box thinking as far as getting those positions filled mid-year as well, especially since we know that's a critical need in area, especially around those core positions. And so we'll be looking and working at that. We have some plans for some of our buildings, but not all of our buildings. And so we're just connecting and working with our principals to kind of fill those positions as quickly as possible. Special ed, especially, I know is obviously a concern across the board. What I've intimated to Ivan, Director Gentry, is looking at some of the candidates we have right now, some people in the student teacher pipeline that are up for not only semester graduation, but also graduation in the fall. How can we reach those people earlier? How can we get them offer letters earlier? Again, the offer letter is contingent on all those different things as far as licensure and all those requirements, but getting that offer letter in their hands before they can even leave our area, I think is going to be a way forward for us. You'll see a lot of different para positions. I think you're talking about the personnel appointments that are open. A lot of that's just backfilling, and we had some resignations, not a ton of resignations. Some of those just backfilling old positions that weren't filled. We're finding some new people in here. We've also started a couple of different things, and you'll see it in your board email. I didn't meet the cut this week, but next week, or where we've actually moved the district assessment in-house. That's going to allow us to be a little bit more flexible with a district assessment and allow for us to have conversations if somebody wasn't able to failed on answering some of those hard questions around math that even I took it. It took me, I failed. And so it was one of those things where let's talk about what that district assessment is and what does it mean to actually putting people in our classrooms in something that's good for our kids. And so we're looking at that, and we've changed some of those practices that open up the gateway again to have more people come into our system. What am I missing? There's one more question. Class sizes. So right now at elementary, we look good. I say that with a caveat. There's two grade levels at one of the elementaries and one grade level at one elementary that we had maybe considerable increase compared to the other elementaries. We did supplement that with para support or just in general what the building needed as far as support from that standpoint. And so I think we're good there for now. If you're hearing anything different from principals, let me know. Or teachers or parents, but we've been able to discuss and I think we're in a good place. And so there would be no more teacher movement as of right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I ask about the new position?
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
Just to know what their role will be and what they will be doing as far as the dual language instructional.
Yeah, the question was around the dual language instructional coordinator. That individual really is already currently existed in our teacher pool. What we did was shift him over to our admin support pool. And Stephen, you can chime in here. This was to provide just another layer of supervisory command with the position in particular for this individual, as well as we added on the DLI responsibilities that the previous coach had. So we no longer have a coach in DLI. That responsibility and that supervisory authority now rests with this person as well. And so we took the old position, with ELL and some of the other things, and then added the DLI part in order to move this position forward.
Basically, we went from 2 positions to 1. It's more efficient. No, with our dual language programs are at Highland and at Lou Henry. And at Lou Henry, it is French dual immersion. At Highland, it's Spanish dual immersion. So you have about 50-50 students who are native French, native English at Lou Henry, and then native Spanish, native English at Highland. Yes, I added on. She was doing ELL responsibilities already, and so this was an addition to that.
India, were you on the board when she came and did the exercise with us about, it was like the 7 questions that she asked us. Have you ever met Simona? Okay, she'll have to come back and do it because I thought it was a fascinating, she really was able to drill down into not only the ELL, but what it feels like to be, I don't want to say a marginalized, but what that felt like. And she went through a really great exercise in that. And so I think it's going to be a nice way for her to do both those things.
And her expertise in both ELL and DLI is second to none.
Yeah.
By far. By far.
We need to get her back because she's great. So. All right, anything further on those personnel appointments? All right, then seeing none, all those in favor of approving the personnel appointments and adjustments as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. That takes us to Exhibit G, and the recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the agreement for Gladbrook Rhinebeck students to enroll in the JROTC programs as indicated for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Thanks, Astor. And a second? Thanks, Rhonda. And discussion.
I noticed in the background that it said at either high school that they can be enrolled in the program, and then it went specific to one high school, and I was wondering, is that determined by the amount of space that's available in the programs at each school, or?
It's determined because the 2 programs are different. One, East has JROTC Army, and West has JROTC Air Force. And so, depending
So
on
that's the
which
only-
program,
the
that's
only
the
one,
only
okay.
difference. Yep,
Okay.
they both have unique programs.
Okay. So we're talking about, so does a whole school choose one or the other? So if you have, say you have 10 students that wanted to participate in the JROTC Army program, they go to East, and then
If there were 10 that had Air
10
Force,
want to
They go to
West.
West.
Okay.
And I believe
So it's on an
that's-
individual basis.
Yes,
Okay.
and as I understand it, and Dr. Lemon, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the federal that you cannot have 2 JROTC programs
You can't have
same
competing
in
branches.
the same
Right,
branch.
right.
You
Yeah,
can't
I-
have.
I think,
You're right.
I think they explained that
Yeah.
when they were here.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's on an individual basis.
Exactly.
Depending on
whichever
which
one
one
you
they-
want to
yep.
be involved in.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. That's great.
So with
Great
this,
question.
Dr. Lindeman, if we have students each year, we have to get a new agreement each year with that specific student? Because this is only showing 1920 school year?
I think that's correct. Michael, do you know that, whether we have to do the public shared document, do we have to do that on an annual basis? I think we do.
I want to treat it like athletics, where we got to renew that every year. I wonder if it
Yeah.
kind of falls in that sharing category. You know, that comes before the board every year.
It was similar to that.
Yeah, it just says unless revoked in writing.
Right.
A condition of continuation for any specific school year would be that space is available. So.
Right, but like this student, it would be
It had to be
yearly.
renewed,
Yeah,
yeah.
because if this
Yeah.
student's a junior, we'd have to
You'd
renew it
have
for
to
a senior.
get the senior year, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We can find that out and get that out to you. I'm sorry, I don't know that, but the only thing is I think for program sharing, for example, for sports, you really only, once it's a new, you have to bring it, we happen to bring all of them to you just so you can see which ones are continuation. So that's leans me the other way, but we're going to confirm that for sure. It's a great question.
Sorry, I'm
I'm
reading
fine
it
with
again.
it, but I just.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
it's a
No,
valid
good question. All right, anything further on that? So we'll get the answer to that. And, all right, then all those in favor of approving the JROTC enrollment by public shared or non-public shared students, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. So that concludes our consent agenda items for this evening. The next item then is the registered apprenticeship with the Federal Department of Labor. And the recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the registered apprenticeship between the Waterloo Schools and the Federal Department of Labor.
So moved.
Thank you, Jesse. And a second?
Second.
Thanks. And discussion. I know we have Jeff Frost, our Executive Director of Professional Education, here tonight to maybe walk us through this.
So I'm going to break this up into two parts. The first part's the legalese part of exactly what this large document is. And then second part will be what does this mean for our students? And then I'll open it up for questions there. But first of all, just a little background on this. Registered apprenticeships have been around for hundreds of years, or apprenticeships have been around for hundreds of years here. We are actually going to become, if approved tonight, the 14th district in the state that has approved a registered apprenticeship program. And this one today is specifically for advanced manufacturing. I do plan on coming back, hopefully down the road this year, at least a couple more times for a few more programs. And ultimately, I think the end game goal would be for all of our pathways to have a registered apprenticeship model or piece to it where students would have the ability to go out and to work with this. But we began on this pathway about a year ago. There's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross to get to this point tonight where we're actually signing the document. As Shan Lee mentioned, it is actually through the federal or the U.S. Department of Labor, so it's a government, U.S. government-backed program here. Again, I'm going to read the book definition of what it means, and then I'll actually tell you what that applies to our students here. So, an apprenticeship is an industry-driven, high-quality career pathway where employers can develop and prepare their future workforce, and individuals can obtain paid work experiences, classroom instruction, and portable, nationally recognized certifications and credentials. Some of the advantages, and these are just points that the Department of Labor wants us to make before we talk about specifically what's going to take place here in the Waterloo schools. Apprenticeship programs are distinguished from other types of workplace training models by several factors. One is apprenticeships are jobs. That's a key point there. It's not an internship. These students are actually, they apply, they get hired for this position, and they actually have a job during the duration of their time in the apprenticeship, which is paid for by the employer, not by the district. So that's a key point there compared to like an internship. It provides on-the-job training along with job-related classroom training. So really, we work in conjunction with the business that the student is working with. Since this is advanced manufacturing, it would be through Hawkeye Community College's the concurrent classes that we offer in advanced manufacturing, plus the skills that they would get with the job site, whatever site they choose to apply for. On-the-job learning is conducted in the work setting under a director and a mentor, and training results in an industry-recognized nationally portable credential. So that's the book definition of what a registered apprenticeship is. Ultimately, what does that mean for a student at the Waterloo Career Center? Well, what that means is if you have identified a program, and in this case, the advanced manufacturing program, as something that you want to pursue, during your junior year, you would obviously be taking courses in advanced manufacturing. During your junior year, you could apply to become part of the registered apprenticeship program as long as you're 16 years old. So there are some juniors that might not be 16. You have to be 16 years old legally to be part of the registered apprenticeship program. Once you apply for that, then what happens is you become an active applicant with the industries that have been identified and have opted to work with us towards the end game of training these students up to become future workers in advanced manufacturing. Currently, we have 6 businesses or advanced manufacturing businesses that have identified themselves that would take on a registered apprenticeship from the Waterloo Community Schools and the Waterloo Career Center. What would happen is you would take your concurrent courses at the Career Center, and at the end of your junior summer, you would actually start working in that company during that summer. You would have 8 40-week hours at $12 an hour, working with that from your, they call it OJL, which stands for on-the-job learning, that you've received at the Career Center. And then what happens is, and actually I think there's like 10 pages of documentation of skills that they're expected to know by the time they graduate from the Waterloo Career Center. So if you go through, I think it's A11 through A110, it lists all the skills that these students are going to acquire during their stay at the Career Center. Their junior summer, they would then have a position for $12 an hour. They come back their senior year, and then they would finish out, the first half would be potentially at East Wester Expo, finishing up on whatever core classes that they have, and then their afternoons or half of the day would be spent working in that business or that company for $13 an hour. So you start out at $12 an hour as a junior summer. Your senior year, you earn $13 an hour. And then what happens is you continue all the way to high school graduation. Once you graduate from high school, you would then work that summer all the way through the following year for that business at $14 an hour, finishing up the required on-the-job learning skills. And at that point, you would receive really 5 things, potentially 6. Number 1, you're going to get your high school diploma, which would be a given. If you stay with the program for the year afterwards, so here's kind of a key point. I would say it's kind of the tipping point for a student. At the end of this program, their senior year after they graduate, if they want to get all of the plus, the extras that go within a registered apprenticeship, they need to stay on that registered apprenticeship program with that company for 1 more calendar year. If they do that, at that point, they would earn a National Career Readiness Certification, which is pretty, you know, Sharice talks about the IB piece and and how much rigor and what that means to colleges that are looking at applications. Students that walk in, or actually any applicant walking in with a National Career Readiness Certification, that really puts their resume on top in regards to hireability. So it's a big step there. The only way they get that is if they stay with this for 1 year after their graduation. They also get a Department of Labor apprenticeship certification, which again is another thing, another layer of just making them, we call it the competitive advantage over anybody else that is applying for these positions. They will also be very close to completing their general studies degree. In fact, they would potentially, depending on the company, be able to get their education completed at Hawkeye Community College and actually have their 2-year degree along during that time frame paid for by the company during that 1 year that they're after graduation. They would actually potentially be going back to school and working at the same time and completing their 2-year degree. At that point, they have an option. They kind of become what I would call a free agent of sorts after 1 year if they stick with this program. They can be hired by that company if that company so chooses to keep them on and they decide that that's the company they want to stay with, or truly they can become a free agent of sorts and really put themselves out there for any company that's hiring within that area with these high credentials, skills, and certificates. If they did not want to per se be working with that company anymore, they could figure out which company they want to work with there. So it's really the next step in the school to career pipeline, and it's, like I say, it's nationally recognized, and really the big step for us in continuing and getting our students into more job skilled trade I would say skilled trade readiness and preparation for career. With that said, one last piece here, I should also tell you this. One of the things, if this is approved tonight, one of the first things that I will actually do is we get to apply for what's called a 15C grant through the Iowa Economic Authority, and that's kind of an automatic grant. If we enter the RAP program, which is the Registered Apprenticeship Program, when we apply for this grant, we would get a $25,000 one-time grant for advanced manufacturing that can be used and applied towards instructor salaries, supplies, materials, and such. So if we continue down this pathway, ultimately I said the goal would be to potentially have all of our programs in a registered apprenticeship at some point. We can apply for this one-time grant within each of those streams to get a one-time $25,000 grant for us to use as we see fit. So we're gonna, if this is approved tonight, I'm gonna do two things tomorrow. One will be to actually let Career Assistant at the Department of Labor know that it's been board approved, and then at that point we actually will become a RAP school district. And then the second thing is to contact the Iowa Economic Authority and begin the process to get our money for the grant, the $25,000 grant that we can apply towards however we see fit. Questions?
I'm always curious, how does one as a student balance it all? Like, if you wanted to take an IB class, but you also want to do the apprenticeship or do multiple, is it possible to do that? I mean, there are a lot of great options, but it can be very overwhelming. And I speak as a parent my child who is at West High, who is trying to decide, you're in 9th grade, you have all these overwhelming options. I would like to try, I want to do this. And that sounds great, but what if I also want to go a different, I'm just wondering, there's a lot of options. So where does a parent even begin to even know, like, this might be something you may, but, I may be missing out on this?
That's a great question, because one of the great things about our district, as you all know, is we have so many options. And at some point, you do really need to kind of narrow your focus down as a student, along with support with your parents and administrators, figuring out what pathway, what is my best option out there for me. Typically, and Sharice and I talk about this all the time, the IB crossover is really difficult with a lot of other stuff just because it's so rigorous and there's so much to that. Not to say that they can't do other stuff, take a class or two at the Career Center. I would say a student that is focused, coming out knowing this is my pathway and I know I want to do this for my career, a registered apprenticeship is really the option they should look at within a pathway. If they're not really sure that they want to be in advanced manufacturing or in a health careers field, or in another one we're going to bring up probably this year yet is construction, if they're not sure of that, what I would tell them to do is to get into the program, and then they can figure out from that program, if that's with the classwork, if that's something they want to do. To take that even a step further, we now do have internship opportunities, which are actually us paying for them to actually go to a site and work. That's a 100-hour opportunity. The first 30 hours are basically like probationary period that is not non-paid. Then we will pay for the next 70 hours. It's kind of like your co-op type program. But students that enter registered apprenticeships really are the ones that have really locked into that this is my career choice. And I know this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And for what, from their junior year through their senior year, they're taking all the classes, upscaling themselves with the skills needed in the OGL, and then just knowing that that's what they want to do. If that is something that they have figured out and they lock onto a registered apprenticeship, that is the way to go, because they absolutely will get on-the-job training. They will get all the nationally recognized portable certifications, and honestly, they will have a job here in the Cedar Valley, really almost who they want to be hired by. I mean, they really do become a free agent of sorts and hireable just about by anyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I was gonna say the camps, the early camps, it seemed like that's a good route too. You guys have been offering. It's kind of before they get to high school, and I would just echo what you're saying. Jobs here, but everywhere I go, working manufacturers, working companies I work with, getting skilled machining employees, CNC people, it's hard. I mean, it's very hard to get skilled technical people in those areas, and I mean, companies, you can find them, they'll hire them. So I mean, not only are they marketable here, but they are marketable pretty much across the U.S. in most places.
Well, I think Jesse brings a great point. If you look at that document, the 10 pages that are the OJLs, the on-the-job learning expectations that they're expected to have, that's a pretty substantial list, and it's very finite. It's very focused. Those are skills that if you know those 10 pages of skills, you're hireable by anyone. And you really would not be able to get into this program if you did not have that skill set, because you actually have to apply. You go through an interview process, you are hired, and actually there's the period where actually the job mentor is actually doing reports back to his instructor. So in this case, Mr. Plaguey is going to be the instructor of our advanced manufacturing RAP, Registered Apprenticeship Program, reporting back to Bob Plaguey saying, here's how so-and-so is doing in this course, here's the skills that we see deficient, or it might be, you're doing a great job, the skills deficiency is not there at all, you've done a great job of preparing the student for what we want and what we need.
Yeah, this advanced manufacturing side, what I'm seeing here, just on the apprenticeship side, I mean, they'll make very good money in just about any area of the country they want to go to.
Yeah.
There's such a demand for it.
The $14 on the last year of this program, you can almost double that when they're done with the program to $28 starting out. So can you imagine being 20 years old and starting at $28 an hour? That's about where you're going to start at if you come through this program with these credentials.
With with marketable skill sets.
And the nationally recognized certifications.
Yeah, I'm really proud of this, and I don't know if people know how much of a big deal it is to have this OJL is what they call it now, program here. Quick question about for freshmen and sophomores in terms of electives within the high school buildings. So let's say, for example, a student is thinking about teaching or nursing. What elective opportunities do they have within the actual high school buildings other than the Career Center, or how have we looked at that as a district? Because there's a lot of great opportunities at the Career Center. I would imagine a lot of students are clamoring to get there. But for our upcoming freshmen and sophomores, do they have enough electives?
I think that's one of the things that Dr. Lindemann and I and our council, we just had a big meeting. Was that last week or is it this week?
It was
today's
last
Monday.
week, yeah.
Yeah,
It
so
was
it's
last
last
week,
week.
yeah.
It's Monday. Actually looking at what we can do, because really if you think about it, we got a continuum of from Madeline's Learning Labs K through 5 to our new middle school exploratory experience to the WCC, but we kind of have a little bit of a disconnect in the high schools that we don't per se have all of the courses that we need to keep that pipeline running straight. You know, I kind of use the analogy of it's kind of like a Major League Baseball team. If you have the New York Yankees and they have a single A and a double A team, but they don't have a triple A team, if you don't have that next step, the in-between, the connector, it makes it very difficult sometimes to keep the interest or to keep them into a pathway program. So we're working on that. And I guarantee, you know, we're going to be able to close that final piece of the puzzle here real soon. But absolutely, you know, we need to get a few more elective choices, even if it's just an introductory class. And we could have an introductory into the skills trades where a student takes that and they may get some construction, some manufacturing, some plumbing, some electrical. You could create a course that would give you all of the gamut of that, and then you can kind of figure out if that's something you want to do at the 9th or 10th grade level.
And I assume that looking at these schedules here, as far as like at sophomore level, it's showing that they have to have machine technology 1 and 2. So my question would be, you kind of have, let's say you're a junior and then you decide, can you get into this at a junior level?
Absolutely. Those are just samples that actually they give us the documentation and we fill in the blanks, but they keep that templated 4-year or 8 semester schedule in there as their sample. Honestly, this program is really set up for juniors and seniors. You would not step into the concurrent OJL courses really until your junior year at the Career Center. So really what you should be doing as a 9th grader or 10th grader, obviously we want the exploratory introductory classes to give them experience or exposure to it. They really need to focus on getting their electives or their core done, opening up electives, and honestly what they really should be focusing on is a lot of the math skills and the science skills and the critical thinking skills that prepare them for this opportunity when they become juniors and seniors.
Seems like I remember, like way back in my high school, we had our trade center and stuff there, but they had a, yeah, I'm dating myself. Yeah. But, you know, I think they have like a quarterly type introductory thing where like you went over there and, you know, you had 1 quarter machine shop. They had 1/4 of electrical, 1/4 of automotive, and just like so you had a quarter one whole year, but they were quartered up in different areas. So then the sophomore year they could kind of start filtering in or something. But
Typically, if you look at a student's, just in general, this is generalization, typically about second semester of their sophomore year is when they finally get to a point where they start having some electives open up in their schedule. Usually the freshman year, first semester, sophomore year are pretty tight in regards to required courses. But about second semester, sophomore years when they start having the ability to take some more elective and make some more choices and options. And obviously we want to continue to backfill East, West, and Expo with courses that would do that type of thing where they would get exposure at different levels and in different programs. I think what we've created at the middle school with the exploratory experience is awesome, because that pretty much hits the 6 career fields minus ag and horticulture, but the 5 of the 6 areas that we offer out at the Career Center. Now we just need to backfill a little bit, but I know Dr. Lindemann and our counselors we have a lot of brains wrapped around this and trying to figure out what the next steps are there, but we're going to get there sooner than later.
And then lastly, I just wondered, do you have a specific pool of companies that would work with this program, or is it open to, companies outside of this specific area?
So we put word out to within a 30-mile radius to any company in manufacturing that wanted to. And we actually had in July 2nd, we had a large meeting with, I'm saying, at least 15 different businesses, manufacturing businesses that Greer came up from the Department of Labor along with Jim Whiteman from the Department of Labor, and we sat down and said, we're going forward with this. Who's on board? And we had 6 businesses locally that have decided that they support this. They're willing to pay the salaries and to take the students through these steps because there's such a need for it. So they are the initial 6. That doesn't mean we're limited to 6. If another company out there figures out or hears about it and says, boy, it's working out pretty good feeding that that company's pipeline, maybe we missed the boat by not getting on board right away, absolutely we would take them in. Our goal would be actually best case scenario, if students have locked onto a pathway and they know that's what they want to do for a career, why wouldn't we want them going out for this registered apprenticeship and getting the experience and getting the credentials and actually going to be hireability right away.
Well, and opportunity even in the summer to earn some money as well. For some
And
kids, that's huge.
It's great paying. I mean, $12, $13, $14 an hour at 16, 17, 18 years old is pretty good.
Just a suggestion. I've seen this at other schools, but if we could do a signing day for these career, I would love that. These kids are graduating and they're going into a job, let's post a signing day for them, because I think that definitely recognizes that the importance is just to do this. If they're not going to a 4-year or they're going for athletics, going to get a career, I think that we should post that too.
We actually did hold a signing day, but we're gonna take it to a whole different level this year.
Okay.
It was a great event, great event. But we're gonna first of all, we're gonna have a better space to host it in, which last year was very tight where we were at. But absolutely, because the one thing about that, the students that are athletes, they sign the letters of intent, get recognized all the time. They have a sports section and things like that. But a lot of students that are going into programs like this don't often get that recognition, and signing days are a great thing. We had parents coming up to us and literally crying, like, my son or daughter's never had this type of recognition before. And actually the colleges and the companies brought bling and shirts and showed up for the sign. It was a pretty cool event. And it was, hard helmets for construction companies.
Okay.
And
Very cool.
any other questions? So I'm just telling you, probably going to be back here 2 more times, once for health careers and construction down the road, if this is approved tonight. This is really just a great model, and we would actually, if we go to 3, we'd be the first district that would have multiple registered apprenticeship programs. So, but I don't want to do it until January, because you can only get the $25,000 grant once during a calendar year. So we'll wait till January.
So, like, what's your vision with numbers? Just like a stretch goal or whatever. What would your stretch goal be? for these apprenticeship programs?
Well, I would say every pathway, not program per se, but every pathway. So IT, business, health careers, skills trade. Actually, I would say that would be more finite. So I would say absolutely electrical, plumbing, advanced manufacturing, and construction would all have a registered apprenticeship tied to them. You know, I think if it's a pathway, it should have a registered apprenticeship to it, just because that's the piece for the student that has figured out what they want to do, that allows them to get even deeper and to actually be hireable right away.
Well, even the opportunity, some of these kids, when they hear about opportunity to be able to get into the program, be able to make some money over the summer, I think that'll draw some in right there. You know, just that.
They're guaranteed 8 40-hour weeks, but no overtime.
So it would be great if we had a wait list for this, right?
Actually, I would hope we would never have a wait list, because I would hope we'd have enough companies on board
Keep
that
going,
if a student wanted this, that they would always be hired for this.
But remember, the students have to be a little bit deeper in their training. So if a student is a senior and they decide to go out to the Career Center and take advanced manufacturing, they're not the student who would be eligible for this. We're talking about students who get deeper in their learning, 3-4 semesters in the same pathway. So, you know, the question I always wonder, how many students are we talking about? 2 or 3 to start with in this particular thing, possibly, and growing it from there. We do Des Moines Central Campus has some registered apprenticeships, and so we can kind of model and watch how many students. But again, it's a good reason to marry what Rhonda was talking about. We have to have a good feeder pipeline. We have to have exploratory or elective programs as a freshman, sophomore, so that they can try them out, because then they may be more apt to go as a early junior. They get their fall of their junior year, spring of their junior year, fall of their senior year, and then maybe they're ready for something like that. So we just
and
want to
they
get
have
them
to
in earlier.
even know what CNC is at 8th grade. I mean,
there
lots
has
of
to
kids
be,
don't.
and that's really why when we talk about working with the counselors, that career piece, but it's not just the counselors having that master plan. How soon do you start having that dialogue with students? The exploratory program is great at the middle school, but we still have some work to do on that to make sure that kids are making those connections. Because they may learn about medical detectives, but it may never dawn on them that there's programs at the Career Center that could, so we have to do that, and make that connection.
No, you're very right, because if they're going into industry, they're going to be operating very expensive machinery, and
right, they have to be deeper.
They have skills. So.
Jane, that's a great point she brings up, though, that this is not something, a registered apprenticeship. We have students that are out there still, you know, I changed majors 3 times in college. So at 16 years old, a lot of students may not lock onto this. So if you're not at least 3 semesters deep into this, you're not going to get into a registered apprenticeship. But we do have internships. And so that's kind of, you know, let's say they bounce from one pathway to another one, not bounce, but if they explore one pathway and then decide on another option, but then they figure this one out, we can get them into an internship. They might not ever get to the registered apprenticeship model because they didn't get deep enough into the OJLs, but at least they can explore and get paid for it. Not as much, but they can at least have on-the-job resumeable positions in an internship.
Well, and the opportunity is there.
Absolutely.
Right, and really that's what you're voting on tonight. You're not, you know, we could bring this and have 0 students. That's not what we want, but you're really, we're asking you to vote to give us the option to put this out there for students and to work with them. So, but it has to have board approval. So it's an exciting thing. It really is. I'm assuming you, Sam, we're pretending like we know how you're going to vote.
Trying to get to the vote
Vote.
Are there any more questions for Jeff or for?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, for work on this.
It's really exciting stuff. And like I said, we're going to be the 14th district in the state, so that's pretty big news too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Alrighty then, with all this excitement in the air, all those in favor of approving the registered apprenticeship with the Federal Department of Labor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed to same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. The next item on our agenda then are the board policy changes, and these are first readings. I would invite Tara Thomas up. So we can talk about them, but we're not voting on them tonight, so.
Thank you.
Good
Any
evening.
questions? I'm happy to entertain.
Tara. I'll just say for our public out there, the policy changes that are on the docket are for board officers, employee outside employment, licensed employee contract release, academic progress and promotion and retention, administering medication to students' school calendar, and career and technical education. So, does anybody have questions for Tara?
Did the minimum hours change? Or no, they're still the same as they.
10,080
Yeah, did they stay the same?
They're the same.
Okay.
should be. Yep. I guess I better look at them, make
No,
sure
it
that
is.
I.
I just wanna make sure
I
they
read it and I
didn't
thought it
change.
was 10,080. Yeah.
That's state law.
Right. Okay, so these will be back in front of us in 2 weeks, and if anybody has any further questions for Tara, I would say to give her a email and ask. So, all right, we'll move then to the superintendent's report. Dr. Lindemann.
Yeah, just 3 things tonight. First of all, tomorrow, if you are free, stop down anywhere in the downtown area. You're going to see about 1,000 little runners with little legs that are actually faster than most of us. We have our 4th grade Mayor's Fun Run, and so Mayor Hart hosts this every year. I don't actually know the number. Steph, do you know the number of how many annual? This has been a while. It goes way back. Yeah, it's a
been going on
long
for a long
time.
time.
Yeah. So, anyway, they will be running tomorrow. I believe the race starts around 10:30, and so they will be
At Park and Commercial.
Park and Commercial, and they'll be running down there, and they just run that. They can walk, they can run. It's just really a great event. So we are excited to be part of that. Second of all, I probably am going to steal the thunder, but I think it's
21st.
the 21st. It's the 21st annual Mayor's Fun Run. Thank you for looking that up. That's awesome. Great wins on Friday night by both of our football teams. That was exciting. We had East played Newton and West played Des Moines Hoover, and both of them came out with nice wins on that. And I think there was a East volleyball game too against Washington that was that they won. So just great things going on right now. There really are. India, I really appreciated your question because there are so many options for kids. And so we know we never expect students to do everything, but we love having lots of options for kids to, whether it's sports or registered apprenticeships or music or band or Lego League or whatever that might be. It's just really great to have. And then the third thing, is a fairly serious thing. I want to make sure that we start having the dialogues about the 8th grade parent meetings, the mandatory scheduling meetings that happen. This is the 3rd year that we are having those, and they are so important. We put the word mandatory with it because we really try to choreograph how important it is. We never get all of the parents. We wish we would. We are about 100% of the parents who come say that it was very helpful, and every one of them says that they learned something they did not know before. Things have really changed over time, and so those meetings, when we come to our next meeting, I will get those dates before them. Tara's got a whole series of promotional campaigns, whether it's radio or social media or printed copies home or whatever, to let parents know about that. But it is really, really, really important for parents to come, and those do start on October 29th, and they go into that first week of November. But we started early because it's really a big deal to get that master plan of what the schools can do to help kids get the classes that they need to set them up for life after high school. So those are coming. Just a little bit of a preview of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to start down here with Lyle. It was the turn to start down here. So since he's not here, he had to drop off our call tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start with Astor. You're welcome.
On last Sunday, I had the opportunity to have a in-depth sit-down and conversation with Nicole Hannah-Jones, who most of you know came and spoke at UNI on Monday. And some of the things that we talked about is having the difficult conversations about race and past and present. And at the the 1619 project
address.
that she had, the address that you and I that she talked about, there were some at the question and answer session. I want to say there were some things that were mentioned and talked about. So I promised her and others there that we would lead the charge and continuing with those difficult conversations in regards to our schools, in our district and our community. It's very important that we continue those because our children are in those situations currently, and I believe it's our duty to continue those difficult conversations that we need to have. So that's all.
Esther, I also heard that on Tuesday she went to West High and had some very good dialogue with students there and staff there, and I think really it is a hard conversation to have, but I really think that she that intimate setting was really great for her to have that opportunity. So.
And she also vowed to give back anything that we would need, the curriculum, just conversation. Just she's a willing to lend an ear or anything she can do to help.
Yeah, I just would like to make sure that as a district we follow up with what the work that she put in with our students and with our principals. So I would just at some point before the school year is out like to see what each of the schools' response is.
I did see something that was posted, and I just want to encourage everyone to submit a logo for the new East High logo. The Booster Club logo. I think that's a cool opportunity. Any aspiring artists, I can't do it, but anybody that has good artistic ability, we need an awesome logo for that, and you will become famous if you do that. So, and then secondly, this is on a personal note a bit, but we have a teacher in the district, Karen Deserano. She had a huge impact on my son, and I've known her for a long time. And she's battling some stuff, and she's now a teacher at Hoover. She was at Kittrell before, and so she's a West High grad. She was a few years behind me. And on Tuesday, October 1st, they're going to be having a special night for her at the West High volleyball to wipe out cancer, and she will be there. And it's Tuesday, October 1. And they had a T-shirt order. I think it's too late to get the T-shirt. Today was today. You maybe could call Jeff. Yeah, Booster Club. But just would be cool if we could really wrap her around as a family and just show her support for all that she's done for lots of kids in this district. So that's all I have.
Well, we talked a lot about sports, but band competition coming out starting this weekend, and then we got one this weekend, one
4 weeks.
next 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, so little kids have been putting a lot of hours in, dodging storms. So anyway, you get a chance to come out and see those, and those I can speak for Wes because I have a parent there, but 2 weekends in a row I had 2 competitions in the same day, so really busy days. So
Go band.
yes, and our new stadium, it won't be a mud pit this time. The last time it was kids losing shoes in the mud.
Pardon me, India. I started talking about
You're fine. I'm not that. No, no. I won't claim it. I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
our district before then, but seeing nothing to come. Oh, yeah, so we are cutting the ribbon on our Waterloo Career Center, which we talked a lot about tonight, on October the 10th at 3:30 in the afternoon, and we will have Governor Reynolds will be here with us to do that. So it's a great opportunity as a community to come out and take a look at our gorgeous new building, and also meet some of our cool kids and some of our staff, and just really enjoy and celebrate the ribbon cutting. So we hope to see you there. It's open to the public. Is there anything further to come before the board? All right, then seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thanks, and a second.
Second.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you and good evening.